about you, but my timeline is full of Wicked at the moment, and seeing all those amazing rich green tones just really inspired me to create this look. And I don't even like green, but I really like this. To create this look, you're going to need a green eyeshadow, a bright matte pink, a sculpting eyeshadow, and a light green eyeshadow, which is optional, along with a green eyeliner, which is also optional. But it's super easy to create this look, so let's get started. Start with an eyeshadow primer. When you're using any shade that isn't nude or skin toned, I would recommend using a primer, because if your eyelids get stained with a neutral tone, you won't really notice. Sometimes it can even give you that no makeup look the next day. But for purples and reds and greens, you do want to protect your lid. And that's what an eyeshadow primer does. It creates a barrier between your skin and the eyeshadow. Now you can go straight in with your chosen green eyeshadow and check out the information box on what green eyeshadow might work best for you. I'm going to be creating a list. Or you might find combining two eyeshadows or layering an eyeliner with an eyeshadow will create that right shade for you. For example, if you layer a teal colored pencil with a deep green, you get a very different finish than if you just applied them alone. Another great thing about layering is that it gives you more control. So let me explain for beginners. An eyeshadow is on the drier side and a pencil is more on the liquidy side. So if you layer the two of them together, they grab hold of each other. It's going to last a lot longer for you. It also means you can be very precise where you put the pencil, because you might have an area that just pigment will not hold. For me, it's right at my lash line. I really struggle to get pigment to hold in this area. So if I apply a pencil liner first, it's just going to grip hold of the pigment more. Now you see how the liner is a little thinner on that inner corner and then it follows all along to the very edge? This is the shape that works best for me. I'm basically following my eye shape, so just adjust this to make it work for you. And if you're not sure, let me know and I'll help you figure it out. Now you do want to work quite quickly, so do one eye at a time with the cream pencil and then go straight in with the eyeshadow. Otherwise the cream pencil can set itself and then it won't have that gripping power. Now I'm using a small flat brush. I'm tapping off the excess to reduce any fallout. Fallout happens when the brush picks up too much product and then the skin doesn't have enough surface area to hold on to it all, and then it ends up falling onto our cheeks. I'm also tapping off the excess because I want to very slowly build up the pigment on my eyes. Now you see that inner corner? I don't like to apply too much product on this inner corner because of that little curve that I have. Sometimes eyeshadow can get stuck in this area and basically look really heavy, so I kind of stay back a little bit from this inner corner. So I've been pressing and tapping along the pencil with our first layer of eyeshadow. With our second layer, we're going to very slowly start moving upwards over the lid, just little by little. Now I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I've changed how I'm holding the brush to my face. It's a little closer this time. These are subtle little changes that make such a big difference in your application. So the brush now is laying flatter against my skin and pointing upwards. I might not always have the ability to teach with my illness, but I do want to teach you how to learn and improve your own skills. So by pointing these things out, hopefully you'll notice it within yourself and also following your favorite makeup artists. Now I've been focusing mostly on the lower half of my lid, so see where my crease is? That's where my eyelid creases into my eye shape. So I'm working on the lower half of my lid. So you want to make these adjustments to work for you. But let's just leave the green as it is for now and skip to sculpting. See, this alone makes my eyes look really beady and small because it's cutting off the rest of my eye shape. And that's because the darkness is pulling all of the focus. So what we need to do is to create a frame around it to soften it and get rid of any of that harshness. And that's why we need to use a mid-tone or a transition shade. For a look like this, the eyeshadow that you want to use should be at least one shade darker than your skin tone. So think of your contour or your bronzer in terms of depth, but then with a shade of green like this, which is deep, but it doesn't have too much yellow, it has more bluey. I like to use a peachy toned mid-tone or transition shade because I feel like it complements it really well. So I'm going to look for a shade that matches that description. Now we talked about mid-tones before and I'll link the video below, but I mentioned that if you're not sure what your mid-tone should look like, go to the MAC website and see how the eyeshadows are described. So I'm looking for a peachy matte brown. And I'm going to look at this shade, soft brown. I feel like that's going to work. Check out the description. Soft golden peachy brown. Now you don't have to be using MAC. You can just use MAC as a guide for the description. and then just find something that you already own. To apply this, I'm using a short blending brush. This brush is if a fluffy brush and a pencil brush had a baby. So it looks like a pencil brush, but it acts a bit more like a fluffy brush. So even though it's precise, it's also quite free flowing, and I'm going to be holding it in the middle of the handle, so test out what works best for you. And I'm starting just off from the edge because I don't want to bring this eyeshadow downwards, but I'm not in the center either. I'm just slightly off at an angle, and this is just going to work best for me. I'm doing small little motions and I'm just blending what's already on my brush. With your first blend, I always recommend just doing a nice soft layer, using what's on there before you pick up anything else. Now see how far away I am from that green? We're going to bridge the gap in a little bit, but I want you to stay away from the green for now, because what we don't want to happen is we don't want the green to start mixing with our mid-tone, because then it goes muddy. What we need to do is to create a blend quite high away from the green, and then we can slowly start to bring the brush down and blend and blur the two of them together. But it's really important that you do both creases first on either eye before you start to blend downwards to keep that nice clean tone. Once you feel like you have a nice framework around the eyes in that crease blending upwards towards the eyebrow, you can then slowly start to bridge the gap and blur the two of them together. Don't pick up any extra product unless you really need it. Just see what's already on the brush and already on your eyes, and just slowly start to smudge and blend the two of them together. Now this needs to be very, very careful. It needs to be soft just as we start to blur and smudge them together. If you're not sure about your pressure control and you don't have the best pressure control, move your hand slightly down on the handle. It will just soften the pressure. Okay, let's add some pink because this is a wicked look, so I want to add a peachy pink in here. This is a fade shade and nobody else calls it that. It's something that I just made up, but it basically creates a fade. Unlike a transition shade or a mid-tone, we don't apply this with a large brush, and we also are very concentrated where we do apply it. I like to apply it with the E10 by Blank Canvas Cosmetics because it's a nice tall and thin blending brush, and it's exactly right for a fade shade. And I apply the fade shade right at the crease area with the eyes open. Now you don't want to overdo a fade shade. A fade shade is understated. It's there, but it's not there. It's like a song that fades out. There's no ending, there's no beginning. It's just this very subtle tone that really works with the mid-tone. For highlighter, I'm using a light green for that inner corner, but you don't have to. But I do like to use the green because what I'm then going to do is slowly start to blur and blend the two shades right at that lid meeting the crease area. Now we've already done this with the mid-tone, but by adding in a different tone of green, we're going to blend them really nicely together. And I'm using the same brush that I applied the dark green with, so the two of them are going to blend together. And you should end up with something that looks like this. And I'm going to go ahead and apply some mascara and some lashes. Now for underneath the eyes, to create that really smoky effect, I'm going to be using that same brush. Now before you pick up anything, let's just see what's left over on this brush. Now you can push the brush downwards to create a smudge to get underneath the eyes, or just remember to keep your hand tucked underneath those lashes, keeping it really, really close to that lash line underneath the eyes. And I always start in the middle and then I blend in and out. Now my eyes kind of droop a little bit, kind of puppy dog eyes on the edge, so I like to keep that outer edge really tight. I'm also going to add a little bit more of that green. If you didn't want to use green, you can just use like your face highlighter as well. That would work. And you can also combine those two on the crease area if you wanted to. On the waterline, you can just leave it, or you can add a nudie tone. So this should pretty much match your skin tone, or you can add the green and this will give you that smoky look. I kind of like the green. I feel like it works. For the final step, I'm going to add that pink because pink goes good with green and it helps it to blend in. Then lots more mascara, and there you go. A green smoky eye that will definitely make you popular for sure. If you want a full makeup look showing you how to pair this with blush and lipstick, do let me know and I'll do that for you. But I do have a confession, I've never actually seen Wicked. I'm only getting my information from on Carly's video because she's so fun. I don't really know anything about it. I love musicals. Jesus Christ Superstar and West Side Story, Chicago. And I was actually tempted to call my dog Rocco Toto because he looks just like Toto. But like Toto is from The Wizard of Oz, but The Wizard of Oz is connected to Wicked, right? Or did I just make that weird connection? Yeah, they're connected. So So I kind of have a feeling like I'm going to like Wicked, but definitely let me know if I should go watch it. And as always, my friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, keep defying gravity, and I'll see you in the next one.